Rebecca.
Hey, I'm Monica.
I'm Adriana.
And today we are exploring and demonstrating the skill of a ball bounce.
The ball bounce involves using the hand to push a ball against a surface, causing it to rebound. The ball bounce is fundamental to student movement and learning because it helps develop hand-eye coordination, and this is also useful for developing the skill in catching and throwing, and it's useful in many sports including basketball, tennis and squash. Children who are competent and confident in fundamental motor skills are more likely to be physically active later in life.
The ball bounce should be taught and introduced to Year 1s, ages 6 to 7 years old. The Fundamental Motor Skills Manual for classroom teachers states this as in the first years of schooling, students explore and learn the skills of catching, kicking, running and vertical jumping. This is because these skills are recognised to be the most basic fundamental skills that somewhat need to be understood before the ball bounce is introduced. However, the skill of the ball bounce has most likely been displayed by students throughout their childhood so far in the moments of play. The ball bounce should be mastered by Year 4, ages 9 to 10 years old. Bouncing a large ball while stationary. It's important for students to be taught these steps in order to know how to bounce a ball correctly. So step 1, we have spread your fingers comfortably over the top of the ball. So by this we mean spread out like this, instead of a lot of students put their fingers together like this over the ball, and that's when they tend to slap it. Step 2 is bending your knees and leaning forward over the ball. So by this will help you have more control of when you're bouncing the ball. So we're bending our knees, so I'll move to the side, like this, instead of standing straight up like this. So in stance, as people would say. So whilst doing this also, you can bounce the ball down and keeping your head up, straight ahead. Instead of looking down, this is when a lot of people lose control of the ball. So step 3 is pushing the ball towards the ground with the pads of your fingers. So the ball should also bounce at waist level at all times. So following the ball with your hand and meeting with your palm and fingers as it rises. So when the ball rises back up, it should meet with your palm and your finger pads together.
Now we are going to explore how to bounce a large ball while moving. Use your fingers to push the ball downward and forward. Try and watch where you are going, looking forward like we just explored. Now we are just going to talk about where a teacher should stand in teaching a student how to bounce the ball.
So the importance of standing beside the student or next to the student is so the teacher is able to see the technique of what the student is doing when bouncing a ball. It's easier to correct it from the side because they're seeing this firsthand rather than being from behind where you can't really see anything of what they're doing.
It's also a good tip for the teacher to stand kind of in front of the student. So just say you're my student. So then I am able to correct any techniques. Just say if Adriana was slapping the ball and I would be able to easily correct her hand on the ball. So from behind or from a distance, you're not really able to check that they're doing the correct positioning or the correct technique in order to bounce a ball.
Children are diverse learners, so in order to accommodate different needs, you could consider changing the equipment or the activity to meet specific needs of the students you're teaching. For example, if you're teaching vision impaired students, you may want to use a brightly coloured and large ball so that they can easily see the ball. It's also a good idea to consider the age group of the learners that you're teaching. Younger students may find it difficult to learn the bounce immediately with a heavier ball, so it's a good idea to use a lighter ball. Two of the common errors when learning to bounce a ball are slapping the ball and bouncing the ball too high.
When bouncing the ball, we also need to make sure the environment that we're in is also safe to participate in. This includes making sure the students have enough space to participate in and bounce the ball within.
That the ground isn't wet, so it stops children from slipping.
And also that the ground is free of obstacles, so you don't have balls lying around or hula hoops or anything
unseen.
In order to find resources in teaching students the skill of the ball bounce, the Fundamental Motor Skill Manual for Teachers is a resource that should be readily utilised as it goes into depth in regards to all aspects of fundamental movements and the steps to ensure the correct and proper movements are pursued. Another resource that is helpful to refer to would be the Victorian curriculum. The curriculum is relatively vague at times, however acknowledges where children should be in terms of their development and understanding of health and physical education in correspondence with their age and year level. In addition to that, another resource that can be reflected on could be the resource to support the teaching of fundamental movement skills by the New South Wales Department of Education and Training.